What if the most convincing thing you see online is the thing you should trust the least? A face can be swapped. A voice can be cloned.
This is a cloned voice message, replicated perfectly for everyone. Exactly the same parameters.
A photograph can be altered. And now, AI-generated memes, videos, audios and images can look convincing enough to blur the line between what actually happened and what was created. But this isn't just about funny memes anymore. The government says deepfakes and other synthetic content can be used to impersonate people, mislead voters, damage reputations and commit online fraud. So India has tightened its regulatory framework for AI-generated content. On 10th February 2026, the government notified amendments to the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021 to address harms arising from synthetically generated information, including deepfake and AI-generated content. The amendments came into force on 20th February 2026. The government says the broader aim is an open, safe, trusted and accountable cyberspace. The amendments followed a series of advisories to platforms. So what actually changes? Let's break it down. First, permissible synthetic audio, visual and audiovisual content covered by the rules must be clearly labeled. Platforms also have to ensure permanent metadata or other appropriate provenance mechanisms to the extent technically feasible so users can identify that something has been synthetically generated. So AI itself isn't being banned. The focus is on making synthetic content identifiable and preventing its unlawful use. Second, platforms have much less time to take down unlawful content after receiving specified legal notices. The earlier timeline was 36 hours and now after court order or a reasoned written intimidation from appropriate government or its agencies, platforms have 3 hours to remove or disable access to unlawful information. The government has also shortened grievance redressal timelines. For complaints involving an individual's private areas, nudity, sexual acts or electronic impersonation, including artificially morphed images, the removal timeline has come down from 24 hours to 2. The general deadline for redressal grievances has also been reduced from 15 days to 7. For certain complaints seeking the removal of prohibited information, under the rules now, the timeline has been reduced from 72 hours to 36. And platforms are not simply expected to wait for harmful content to appear. Intermediaries covered by the synthetic content provisions have to deploy reasonable and appropriate technical measures, including automated tools, to prevent users from creating or sharing synthetically generated content that violates the law. For significant social media intermediaries, platforms with more than 50 lakh registered users in India, there is an additional requirement to deploy appropriate technical measures to proactively identify content depicting rape or child sexual abuse or content exactly identical to materials that have already been removed under the applicable provision. The rules specifically cover harmful synthetic content including child sexual exploitation and abuse material, non-consensual intimate imagery, content that deceptively represents a person's identity, voice, conduct, action or statement, or falsely portrays a real-life event, and other unlawful AI-generated content. Platforms are required to prevent such content and act promptly when detected. And importantly, this isn't a standalone deepfake law. It strengthens the framework that already existed. The IT Act covers offences including identity theft, cheating by impersonation, using a computer resource, and privacy violations. Depending on the facts and intent involved, provisions of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita dealing with cheating by impersonation, forgery, and false information or statements likely to cause public mischief may also apply. There's also an enforcement network behind the rules.
The I4C provides a framework for coordinated action against cybercrime across states and union territories.
Its Sahyog portal allows authorized government agencies to send notices to to intermediaries to remove or disable access to unlawful online content. Users can also report suspected cybercrime involving deepfakes or other online misuse through the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal. Platforms that fail to observe their due diligence obligations risk losing Section 79 Safe Harbor protection under the IT Act and may face action under applicable laws. So India's approach isn't to ban AI content, it's to make permitted synthetic content identifiable and require faster action against unlawful content. Because when you can't tell real from AI, the government wants platforms to have one thing in abundance, a lot less time to act. For takedowns triggered by specified courts or government notices, 36 hours are now 3. This is Aditi S. Bade for ET Digital signing off.